don't know why. However, Spirit is asking me to do a part 2. I keep trying to put the phone away, and Spirit keeps something keeps pulling it back out of my pocket. Another part of me, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, somebody made a little swing seat. Sweet. We haven't been down through here in a while, and we stopped at the other spot and the little loading and unloading dock, and I got in waist deep. Woohoo! I'm like, okay, that's good for today. And of course, needing to hook Rashini up, so he is now tethered. One, he was getting a little bit too, just needed to rein him back in a little bit and remind him how close and not close. What's this? Interesting. Well, I'm not going to leave it on the path. So, looks pretty brand spanking new. Must be some type of a razor thing. Interesting. I was wondering how this keeping my bald head was gonna work. I've used razors before. Used them in India. Anyway, that is one thing that is like huge in the disposable department, so that's why I went with a electric USB rechargeable razor, like electric type of thing, and she works sweet. And it's rechargeable USB. And that was the other thing, Spirit. Okay, you're gonna have to we need to figure out this Starlink on the road type of thing, because you've got to power her in, and the cord that I have is great for the electric socket wall, but when you're camping out yonderville, you don't have that. And I thought it had a USB thing on that one end, but it does not. So can't even plug it into the cigarette lighter thingy. So yeah, gonna need to work this one out. So I'm just letting myself know that, so putting that vibe out into the world, so to speak, in a physical manner. I know I've been thinking about it. Anyway, so I don't know why I wanted to hop on here a second term. So whatever the reason may be, may that come forward now. Feeling anything coming forward. Not at the moment. The other reason I was getting a little, and then we have quite a few snowbirds are starting to come in, walking their dogs. Many of them camp up. There's an RV park over here connected to the wetlands, and this is where they take their walks. And who knows, maybe it's the interesting energy sitting over here because not only do those who you're migratory houseless, there's a lot of migratory houseless. I remember that from working the shelter where they go up into Oregon and Colorado during the summer. They catch the bus, catch the train, hitchhike, whatever their mode is, and then they come back down into like Deming or down here in Yuma. During the winter months. Makes sense to me. I did that with the motorcycle. I did that in my travels. There was only a couple times where it was, oh, we're heading north. Really? This time of year? And I would laugh. By golly. And the prayers. I remember the one time Hummingbird and I were coming from Florida and needing to park the Road King and Timeout Camper in Indiana. And we were headed to India. And we had a babysitter. It was just for a short period. We had babysitters for the dogs, and off we went. But it was like the snow parted as we were cruising up there, and the temperatures rose right along with us as we were traveling north. It was, we both kind of looked at each other and shook our heads like, wow. And we knew it was meant to be. This was in December. And yeah, off we went. And I believe it was during that trip we had connected with the Lucknow Animal Ashram. And yes, and so very briefly right at the end, as just before getting on the plane. And then when I came back to do a longer extent at the Oneness University, had hooked up with the Buddhist leader and stayed there for the 2 months. Got quite an education. It was 1 month at the Oneness University and 2 months in Lucknow. And that's when I got the volunteer employment visa for a year and went back and was working the animal ashram there and did the north-south journey from the Nepal border to the south tip. Yeah, those were interesting, fun times. So, a big portion of our ceremony this morning was a shout out to those holding the light and the fractals. Hey.
Hi. Can I put your dog?
We're on a journey,
Okay,
but
okay.
thank you, sister. So, well, I'm feeling empty at this point, so hey, I guess that's what wanted to be shared. Do some navigation here.